Welcome back to the Telosive Tech Podcast, ladies and gentlemen. It's very good to be here. I apologize for my coughing in advance and my overall sickness, lack of streams. Thankfully, Randy was picking it up for me this week and just had his new song debut. So congrats. Very happy.
Thank you.
And
Thank
Nick,
you so much.
were you at all involved in the launching of the McGregor cam?
I can neither confirm nor deny.
All right. I wanted to save
All
it for
right.
the show, just so you felt like you couldn't back out on the answer.
Yeah.
But
And yet he found a way.
you can neither confirm nor deny. But
That
everyone's
is
got...
what you call in the political world a pivot.
Ooh.
Welcome back to the Talos of Tech.
I thought you were
podcast, ladies and
filibustering
gentlemen.
us. You're just going up the clock. Are you
No.
filibustering me?
This is a tech podcast. This ain't anything about space.
That's right.
Who cares about space
Just
when we
technology.
have iPhones to talk about?
I
I
wanna
really
say-
cannot wait for my pill notch iPhone. It's going to be amazing.
Since Drew's making his rounds and acknowledging our activities, I want to make my rounds and say, Drew, oh my God, spot on with your skits. I am
thank you.
here for it. Not that I didn't watch your videos in the past. I would certain things like, the
But we
Pixel
didn't
Watch
watch
is
your
not relevant
videos.
to me, so I don't watch the Pixel Watch.
Thank you,
You know,
Nick.
or like if you're covering something that is really not in my sphere, that's something I give a pass. I've been so captivated by your freaking skits, man. I'm watching the Pixel Watch, and you're get that out of my face. Like everything that you're doing, I just want to put it on record because it is so good, and I'm glad I inspired you.
You did. You did directly inspire
No, it's so
me.
cool, man. I love it. I
Thank
love
you.
these latest videos are. They're refreshing. It's so. Here's why this works in general, and little future YouTubers, anybody listening, standing out not by doing something bad, but standing out to against like mass whatever field you're in. Assuming you're listening to this, you want to be in tech. Because we have a lot of people up who want to try YouTube and be tech tubers and stuff.
Oh, yeah.
You have to do something. Don't copy Drew's format, but you have to do something that makes you kind of stand out and pop. And in this case, Drew, that breaking up that monotony of just like, here's what's going on, let's talk about it, and all that. You like incorporating a little bit of skit. You bring the Tailosive TV channel. You incorporate all these other things that you're really good at that.
These
people,
are not
I feel,
three separate channels. Are you
getting
it?
it? This is all Tailosive, and I'm glad that you're doing it, at least so other people can see your other creative skills that they might just say, oh, he's really good at posting really quickly when there's an apple drop or something. There's more to the man besides not pre-recording things and sometimes missing the mark.
That would be great if
really
I could
enjoy
film
them.
a skit that quickly and get it up with the invites and stuff. But I apologize to everyone who doesn't like them because I know they haven't won the hearts of all. But the positive support has been far stronger than the negative feedback. So
The negative support, Drew.
The negative
Be positive
support,
about how you
if
talk
that's
about negative things.
yeah, so I
Negative support.
enjoy it myself.
This sucks, but I'm feeding the algorithm.
Yeah.
Negative support. All right.
The algorithm doesn't seem to like them very much at all, but I don't really care because I've kind of abandoned trying to cater to the algorithm a long time ago. But I find it far more interesting from a creative perspective because these are subjects that I don't think I could have done videos on without skits.
Nice.
There are subjects or rumors that were so minor, so tiny that I was like, I don't know what I could say or dive into if this was just this normal people like just get to the talking, just get to the new. It's like there's nothing much to say, but if you can work a skit into it, it can be
Like the Ross
informative.
Young.
Yeah,
the
it's like
Mark
okay, we
Kermit.
have two leakers
That's great.
disagreeing with each other.
How
Let's
can
try
I
to
talk
have
about
it like
this?
they're like a bickering married couple, you know. They're like they can't agree. No, that's not what this said. Or
Hi, I'm a Mac. And
Right.
I'm wrong.
yeah,
It was
and I'm
perfect
wrong.
music.
The example in my head was the what was it? Unlimited Google Photos through T-Mobile thing. It's like you could talk about that for maybe 2 or 3 minutes and then you're kind of done. unless you spice it up a little bit with a little bit of background of what Google was thinking, or the Ming-Chi Kuo dropped the leak about the front-facing camera on the iPhone 14 getting autofocus in a wider aperture. And I had that on my video ideas list for a while. Ever since he tweeted it, I added it to the list, and then I was like, what's there to talk about, though? We're just doing a whole video
How'd you report that? Yeah.
on one camera. Okay, here's the news. That's about it. So I was like, well, what if, since we haven't gotten much change in the front-facing camera, we did a skit about the rear-facing camera guy getting all the love and getting spoiled by Tim. And he's like, yeah, we'll make it bigger, and MagSafe doesn't work, but let's make it bigger. I don't care. And now the guy working on the front-facing camera, who has to have no camera bump, and he has to make it smaller every year and have surrounding pixel. I'm like, whoever's job that is must be terrible, because he gets neglected and ignored. So I was like, maybe report that as like a little victory for that guy, so that there's this not like super realistic portrayal of what's going on, but there's a bit of truth to, oh yeah, someone's probably in that position thinking that same thing. So that's what I'm.
You look like you're having fun doing it.
I am.
And I would say that authenticity of, not that you're faking it before, but you're like,
He was
all right, here's
faking
what's
it
going
before.
on. It's not that even you're being professional. You're just, here's the news, and I'm giving it to you as quick as possible. And you found a way to still keep that branding style while also bringing other parts of the brand that I don't think other people get to see as often. And I'm speaking only for myself because I love skit formats because it's informative. I'm getting the information. If I wanted to walk away from the video, the skit still gives me the substance of what you're addressing. And so you meet in the middle. Here's a skit. And you even do the titles now. You have chapters. Here's the skit.
Yeah.
And if you
I
want me to
added
do
those
commentary,
because it's easy, and there's people who don't like skits. And I
exactly.
understand
So
why,
I'm going to give
but
you a regular breakdown analysis of this, if that's all you care about. If you care about the skit, here's the skit. And, it's cool. It looks like you're having fun, and no one else in the tech space is doing that where it's...
There might be. I don't know. I'm not watching that many. So there's so many people posting content now, and there's so many.
Allow me to rephrase then. Nobody
Nobody who's
Noah.
important enough to have us watch them does that.
Nobody's
So like you're
Marquez is known for his red camera, right? And
He's done
his
some skits here and there.
Yeah, he does, but they're not
They're not the
good.
norm, that's for sure.
they're not your skit. They're not the bad. They're just, Drew has you could see it, like The Office is inspiring, like you have your influences that show, and that just caters towards my style of skit humor maybe. So anyway,
Well, thank you.
We're dragging on too long about that. I just wanted to say that I
appreciate
really
the
like what you've
support,
been doing.
and I'm grateful for it because I like acting, and I liked making jokes and trying to form I like that style of content, and I felt like with the old Taylosive TV channel, I could never get enough people into those, because it was always challenging to make up a scenario or a comedy series that people wanted to keep coming back to. But people do follow me for the tech stuff, so I feel like this is kind of a good mesh of both, where it's like, okay, people all want to talk about tech at the end of the day, which I talk about tech in my personal life too, so I'm interested in it, but there's no reason that I have to be what I consider a headline reader. That's what I think a lot of people want is... For one, I can understand if you don't like the skits, for the record. I completely get anyone that says this is cringy or the acting is bad or, I completely, fully understand that. What I don't understand is people that would not like the skits but still like the content part, the commentary part, because to me that's the most boring thing I do, is just talk about apertures and autofocus and lens sizes and thickness of... I'm like, that sounds even more boring than watching a cringy skit. But people are still into that, I guess. But it's like I don't have
kindly
sources.
but firmly ask them to leave.
super kindly.
We have
but
way too many
generally
subscribers.
firmly ask them to leave.
We need to shave off these subscribers. I want to get a second silver play button just by dipping below and
Back down and then going back up. I like it. The door is right over there.
see.
You can leave and visit another YouTuber.
I would say on the creative side that you were talking about, like it's interesting as a fun challenge on the creative side. You have to think kind of not unorthodox, but maybe outside of the box in the sense that you have to. How can you tie something relevant into a 2-minute or so thing, and that right there is already the formula you already use about like shaving off as much as possible to make it as relevant and cohesive as possible. So it's almost like you're doing it twice, but you already got the commentary part down like that. I know you could do that in your sleep, and that's what it is because you're so used to it. This one's like, oh, cool. You got to exercise that part of the brain, but still apply the same feature, so it doesn't look like they're watching two different things in a single video. So
just mix it up. Yeah, it's good to me. I don't know how long I'll keep doing it. You know, it could be a phase. This might be just a Drew phase. It's never going
away. Forever.
But anyway, that's enough about me.
Randy,
never.
You made a new album. I love it.
Yeah.
Congratulations. Is this
And
a tech
it's
podcast?
lossless.
I don't know. Did you use AirPods Max when you made this album?
No, the album was already done.
Oh, they've been done for a while then. Jeez.
The writing process was done. It was there's a lot of work behind the scenes, much like post production. There's a lot that you have to kind of put into the polish up. Same thing with mixing and mastering. I had to get the sounds balanced and right.
Was this the first album dropped that you made on your MacBook Pro, or is?
Yeah. No. Are we talking about even writing music as a whole, like using the MacBook to do all that, or just the part of post production ish?
I meant the post production stuff. Like you were texting me the animations you made and all that, and how did the M1 Pro improve the Randy production process?
The professional pro
I actually
Randy
have a
production
mixed.
process.
I have a mixed bag that happened.
Really?
Ooh,
Ooh,
okay.
How so?
Yeah, the M1 Pro kind of let me down in one sense, but I don't know how much is Apple Silicon and how much is application.
Okay.
So I'll kind of go maybe in chronological order. The stacking of all these tracks in a single Logic file and like getting them, it breezes right through it beautifully.
That's good.
I get maybe on average 50 tracks, and people won't ever really understand little nuances I'll just tuck in there that you don't hear it up front, but in the back it actually enforces whatever you are hearing in the final thing. For example, I use this example a few times, the Tailosive thing. There's so much nuance behind that no one will ever really know that give it the overall thing.
Yeah.
And that track probably had, I think, 18 layers in there.
Wow.
Just to give that. Yeah.
Dang.
So there, I'm in one sense I'm very meticulous in that stuff, but also that's what it requires to give it that full body flavor of earworm stuff. And likewise with earworm stuff. Likewise
New
with
podcast.
the music.
Here we go.
I like that. Earworm. Oh my god, that's a great. Anyway, so
That's a
when it goes to exporting these things and putting them all together, flawless. When I get to Final Cut, I've had not a good experience with Final Cut.
I've had some issues lately on the latest update, but I don't know if
saw.
that's what your issues are.
Okay, well, I saw your tweet and I was like, oh my god, maybe it's not me. Oh, that would make me feel so much better.
We have the same laptop basically, so it's.
Yeah, but maybe I'm thinking like, is this where the Pro is gonna get, like capped on purpose or something? Like I'm thinking like, where's the Pro and where's the Max?
Yeah.
Like, is this where it differentiates? Because it wouldn't make sense on a technical scale if like, is this a RAM issue? No, it's not a storage issue, so it's the silicon. Is this where my silicon is purposely being just throttled? But my situation is I did a 3 hour, almost 3 hours. I did a 3 hour stream going over all the music all the instrumental music I had done in my trilogy set, right? And
Yeah.
that alone was like an hour and a half, and then an additional hour and a half of just commentary overall, start or finish of it. And the exporting of the music part, I made it into a single file on Final Cut where I just had, instead of sliced individual songs, I had the full 30-minute album as an MP3. MP3, not lossless.
Yeah.
So it wasn't a dot wave or anything. It was a compressed format. I had MP3, 30-minute, 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 and I put a border frame of my album cover for my 16:9 aspect ratio, just to show what, hey, if anyone's coming and going in the stream, this is what album we're on or whatever. And then I had a little title like, here's the song, here's the song. So I had these overlays that were like PNGs, but they're animation. And that's as I know you guys know this, you two know this, but that's a lot of data to record, and it's going to export a lot. And it took up about almost 3/4 of a terabyte.
Ooh. Wow.
Whoa.
To push out 90 minutes
Wow.
worth of a border frame and animation with the music and my MP3. All of those in conjunction with, so I can put it in OBS as an overlay.
Jeez.
And in fact, I bet I do. So if I did it right now, it would show up on the thing. But I don't. That's not.
Yeah, it'll
I
break.
see it. It's right there. I'm looking at it.
It's all cropped
but
anyway.
yeah, that's true. So bouncing that
Uh-huh.
90-minute file took about 90 minutes
Wow.
or more. It took a long time. And
Yeah. It's a big file.
it is a big file. And my fans kind of kicked on, kind of
Yeah.
didn't. And I was like, okay, so maybe it was too lossless. Maybe it was too uncompressed.
Too
for
lossless.
the video. Yeah, I'm thinking like
Never go full
so
lossless.
I'm thinking like, okay, 90 minutes, it's a 1-for-1 export timing in Final Cut, which is still, to the MacBook's credit, better than anything I've ever done before with stuff like that.
Oh, I'm sure. Yeah.
But it was a 1-for-1, and I wasn't expecting that. I'm like, wow, this is kicking my butt. So I was like, okay, that's one example. Another example where it was really bad is all I did was put a start screen, like a starting soon thing for OBS.
Yeah.
And I put text over my pre-made time-lapse video that starts to get more vibrant and distort over a period of time.
Right.
That was a pre-made MP4, okay? So I already exported
okay.
it and brought it back in. It wasn't MOV. For people listening, MOV is lossless equivalent. MP4 is compressed. This is an MP4 doing that animation, but Final Cut was struggling to render my text that says starting soon, enjoy the music, over the part where the colors start to distort and get vibrant, but it rendered it fine earlier on, and I said that should not have been the case when it was already an MP4 compressed file. Just imprint the text on top of this footage, but it really struggled. That clip is maybe 3 minutes long, and that portion right there where it starts to distort and get vibrant is maybe 30 seconds long. And that took almost an hour.
What?
There's
Wow.
something wrong. Yeah, there's something
Yeah,
wrong.
there's got to be something on the back end.
That frustrated me. But then
Sure.
here's where it's a mixed bag. Yesterday and the day before, I've been uploading videos. T-Mobile sent me something. I shot that out very quick. That edited, that turned around. It took me more time just trying to figure out what I wanted to say than actually record or edit that one. That came out and exporting. All of that just shot out really quick. I got maybe a 7-minute file down to a 3-minute file, and it just buttery smooth, no issues. But that one had animations that I had to manually go in and move, like T-Mobile eating up Sprint or something. Like that was stuff I had to manually do, and no problems at all. But those are overlays as well. So I don't know why that was not an issue, but my starting soon track was. So I don't know how to really answer that. The Mac, I don't think it's the MacBook. I think it's Final Cut that's doing that, because
I do too.
in Logic, it was fine. mastering my album, mixing it, getting it all, doing all that stuff, that was fine. Exporting it, fine. When it does anything that has to involve RAM, oh man, the M1 Silicon chip just, I don't see the little load, nothing. I love working on the MacBook genuinely because it speeds up everything on the RAM side.
I have so many apps open right now. Just as you mentioned that, I'm looking at my dock. Like, I think there's more apps open on my dock than not open at this point. I just leave them in the background. I don't even think about it.
All the way over there.
No need.
No need.
Yeah, no need.
No need.
Yeah.
Right.
So, I love. This was a fun, just in general, seeing how that was, because I had the MacBook Air on the side that I was like, well, I did my second album that way. iMac did my first album, so each album I put out was done on a different Mac.
Right.
And
Yeah.
by and large, this last album was the most intricate with sounds and mixing and mastering. I've improved as a technician, as an engineer on that, so that was going to be very challenging, and it was the easiest to process, and that was cool. That's really cool. So all that to say, I do think maybe it's a Final Cut issue, because you had mentioned, Drew,
My transitions don't work at all. All of the pre-made, all of the template transitions and stuff, I will not work. So I've had to, like, especially when I'm listening to Patreons on the EV video, I have to manually fade it in and out every time. And there's I can't add cross dissolve. I can't add any of it. I've tried restarting. I've tried rebooting, and it's all broken. There was something else, but that was the biggest one because I used those pretty frequently. So that I don't know when they're gonna fix it, but yeah, it's quite a underwhelming update because there was a lot of hype for this one, taking advantage of the M1 Ultra when it came out, and it came out and basically changed nothing, and everyone was like, "Oh." So
if anything, it bricked ours.
Yeah, if anything, M1 Ultra optimization means this all sucks now.
And it's your fault.
Yeah.
That just shows we really just needed to get the Ultra trips. All three of us just needed to get.
Nick has M1.
We really did.
I have M1 Pro. You have M1 Max. We are all operating on
That is actually a really
silicon.
interesting point. Huh. Wow.
You need to leapfrog us, Nick. You need to go straight to
the Ultra.
now.
I've been thinking about it, but not anytime soon.
Ooh.
Can
I ask then, Nick, how M1's been working for you with
your
workflow?
Dude, it's been great. Obviously there are constraints to M1. I don't. It's funny to say this because M1 is seriously the most powerful chip that ever has existed at this price point. It's just crazy to think, this thing can handle way more than an i7 MacBook from 2019 ever could dream of doing, on so much less RAM, on such a smaller, more efficient process, and quiet 99% of the time. It's a great chip. For what I currently use it for, it's overkill. Well, I don't know, probably not overkill. I do appreciate having some quicker transcode times, because a lot of the stuff that I do is video compression, and it's just running clips straight through the video compressor, which I believe does use the accelerated H.264 encoder decoder, and that I can chop through, I don't know, probably 90 or 100 gigs of 4K footage and reduce that down to 1080 at 30 in about 5-7 minutes, something like that, and that just that speeds up my whole workflow so much. So I do definitely use that, and that's enough. I mean, I'm sure if I got the max chip with the 2 encoders, it would probably scale linearly and do twice as fast, which, that does sound nice, but is it worth the extra cost of $4,000? Probably not. The photo editing stuff, which I think is kind of more impactful to my daily workflow, just because that's most of the video stuff that I do is kind of not sitting here touching it. It's just, I hit one button and it goes through a list of 30 files to compress, and it's not actual time I'm sitting there staring at things.
Is that a Siri shortcut?
No, it's a compressor. It's a Mac app called Compressor.
Oh, the compressor app.
And basically there's a new feature. They just announced a new feature called watch folders. And so I have it all set up. I just drag my files into one folder on my hard drive. And regardless of whether or not I have compressor like active, it just automatically just starts compressing them when I drag them into that folder. It's so
Wow.
cool. Yeah.
That's nice.
But anyway, so I use that a lot. And then for photo editing, I use Aurora and Pixelmator Pro for photo editing. And honestly, the M1 chip the Aurora app is actually an x86 app that's using Rosetta. So it, it could be faster, but it's not the M1's fault, really. It's the fact they haven't updated it yet. So honestly, for my workflow, M1 chip is fine. However, if I do start doing any other editing work or anything like that, I do know that there are better computers out there for that. So, I wouldn't be surprised if
Do you plan on upgrade? Is an upgrade in your on your roadmap here, or do you see yourself pretty content with M1 right now? Looking at your projections on how things are going to go, I guess maybe for the remainder of the year or in the next 12 months.
ask the FAA.
It'll depend on
that's
paperwork.
the running joke around here at Starbase. Ask the FAA, because all of us have these future plans. All these nice new cameras that we want to buy, new tripods, new microphones, new computers, and it's like,
Right.
but will Starbase still be a thing in a few months? I don't know. Will it be? So ask the FAA.
But so if it wasn't, regardless, I think you're fine work because you're a contract for hire type of guy. Really, is how I would kind of see. So, in your current format with your cameras, with your dedicated, cameras that you have, and your workflow process, do you see yourself wanting or needing to make that type of investment? I know I've seen that transition for you, Nick, where you are looking at these Apple products as investments now towards your actual work, your task, because it's so hand in hand. Whereas before, when you were doing accounting, this was a passion project, so everything was more the sky's the limit. But now you actually look at things through the lens of like, how does this increase my workflow, my productivity? With that lens on, because you take photos, do you see you needing to make a change, or is M1 that good still now, and maybe it's the apps that need to change, or what's your mindset?
I think definitely the current if I just watched a YouTube video, I don't know, about a week ago, comparing the actual processing power of like computers from like the 2003 era of computers, and if you use a G4 Cube, for example, in 2022. We're in 2022, right? Yeah, 2022. I know.
I don't know anymore,
whatever
man.
Year. Insert
it's all
2020 plus some years. If you use in one of these old classic Macs for the things that they were made for back then, using the software that they were made for, they still perform perfectly fine. You can edit 720p video just fine in the old version of iMovie or 480p or whatever the standard was back then. But no one does that.
Yeah.
And so what happens is people get a new
laughs in Marquez Brownlee.
What happens is people upgrade either their creative gear or their computer or vice versa, and they keep one-upping themselves, right? So I have a nice Z-Cam that can record 4K at 160 frames a second. Have I ever tried to edit that footage like for real on my M1 computer? No. Because I upload that and the team editors get to deal with that. Thankfully, I don't have to. But if I had to, I probably would be looking at a different computer because I have upgraded my camera. And I'm not using those features right now. But if I were to on a regular basis, I probably would need something a little more beefy. For photos, honestly, even an M1 chip is just fine for photos. I shoot most pictures that you see that I tweet or post or whatever. Typically, no, unfortunately not.
No, they're not. My favorite ones, thankfully, aren't shot on an iPhone because then it doesn't make me feel like I'm doing something wrong with mine.
There you go. I get it.
But anyway, when I take an HDR bracketed picture with 9 stops of exposure, creating a JPEG and a RAW file for each one of those pictures, I create about a gigabyte of footage of files in about 4 or 5 seconds. That all needs to be processed. Yeah. So each one of my pictures basically is about a gigabyte of data. Those are all 50 megapixels, and so I have this whole post workflow that I use. and it's fairly quick and efficient. They hit Aurora, and that takes probably about 3 minutes to process through everything because again, it's an x86 app, but there's no. Aurora is a really good HDR bracketing editor. And so I use that, and then Pixelmator works like a dream. Like I freaking love Pixelmator. Like Pixelmator, I would.
You are the biggest Pixelmator stan. For years, you have like, Randy, I need to show you something. When
I remember using
when,
it. I was using it when middle school.
Right?
I loved Pixelmator.
Really? Is it that old?
Yeah.
The first time I remember
back.
using Pixelmator was with my iPad Air 2. It was the tri-core 64 gig, was it A8X or something chip? It was a tri-core, I know, right? Back in the good old days. When they made 4-core chips that couldn't have yields high enough, so they made them tri-core. At that Apple presentation where they announced that iPad, they had Pixelmator on stage, and that's where I first heard about Pixelmator. And they demoed the ability to retouch images with AI, and they just erased a bunch of wildebeests on the sand dune, and it replaced the sand texture of the wildebeest live, and it just instantly happened, and that freaking blew my mind. And so weeks later, I also had an iPad Air 2, and you betcha I got that $10 Pixelmator app, and I've been hooked ever since. And obviously,
yeah,
I know, because that's how you tried to sell it on me many years ago. You're like, I need to show you something, and you just start erasing things, and you're like,
They don't even have to use that tool anymore. The wildebeests are endangered, so there's no left. Get all the buffalo. We can erase them by over-hunting.
The best Bob Ross. Today we're gonna learn how to erase some beautiful, beautiful creatures. I mean, cutting down the rainforest. Oh my god! Look at that.
Cocks
There's no mistakes.
Yeah.
Only happy accidents.
oh my gosh.
But yes, Pixelmator's
I like
great.
Pixelmator because it looks like the old iPhoto app.
Pixelmator is literally, if you go to the Apple Store, or whatever, Pixelmator is on the demo max. Like I don't know why Pixelmator. Yeah,
really.
I was just at Best Buy the other week playing around with the studio display, and the Mac Mini that was running the Apple Store default whatever that it had Pixelmator on it. I'm like, sweet. So I went over to the MacBook Pros. Ew, they were ugly. I didn't like touching them, but I wanted to try the Max chip. And no, I won't. They're ugly.
Sir.
Those things are
How
freaking ugly.
I'm not asking any more questions for the rest
I don't
of the
want to talk to
episode.
you anyway.
So Drew, let's talk about that notch. I love that notch.
No, I love the notch. I love the notch.
No, go ahead.
Freaking ports they stuck on the dang thing.
Don't you? No, we're leaving that in 2021.
Oh!
Don't you bring up old wounds.
Nick, I had something for you,
Okay.
in the news, but there's a Transcend made SD card that's shorter that you can slide into the SD card slot on the MacBook Pro, and it won't protrude. It'll just be flush with the body, and you can get it in like a terabyte or something. So people are like, I was like, hey, Nick hates ports. He should get that little Transcend thing and fill it up. Now all you need is a HDMI slot.
Actually,
that does nothing.
that was a thing back in the old days. The old MacBook, the Retina MacBook Pros and the old MacBook Airs, they also had an SD card slot. And I actually had that on the old MacBook Air that I had. It was like this little adapter that you stuck a micro SD card into, and then you slid it into the SD card slot, and it was flush with it was like aluminum. It looked really nice, and it just filled up the hole. So I probably would do that if I ended up with one of those godforsaken computers.
Perfect.
But not anytime soon because I'm still in a betting race with Scott. So I can't get one even if I wanted to.
We just gotta wait till
January 2nd,
2022.
2023. What year are we in?
Do you guys want to hear some interesting Apple news that I don't know?
I had so many things I thought we were going to talk about, but this is fine because I love it when there's more to talk about than I thought. So, yes, tell me.
I don't think you covered this, Drew. I don't know. I'm sure you are aware. You know everything Apple, but I find it interesting. It might be controversial, might not. I don't know. But either way, I think I'll play devil's advocate either direction. Apple has sent out a warning shot to app developers to update their apps.
I did see that.
Or they're gonna be removed from the App Store. And there is pushback because some people are saying my app doesn't need to be updated for the sake of updating. It's a complete game, for example. This is a finished product. I don't need to keep updating it. But Apple wants that information, what are they tracking or not like they don't want something like this app doesn't have any information because it hasn't been updated in 2 years or something. They want their app store to be up to standard, up to 2022 standard. Mm-hmm. So from Apple's stance, they are wanting to keep developers in line, and if there was a loophole that they found a way through, they're kind of holding their feet to the fire to saying you need to log this information now. Pushback on the developer side is that I have nothing left to put into this app. I don't want to take it off the app store. It's a complete product. Say not even games, but say it's like a photo editor or something, which is I actually use apps that haven't been updated since 2019, 2018, and they work just fine. And now they're at risk of being removed from the app store. To be fair, that doesn't mean they're going to go away. Like, it's still on my iPad, so I'm not going to lose that app. But the fact that you won't be able to download it afterwards because they're not going to refresh their app store page, it's causing more of a ruckus than I was initially thinking. Because my true stance, and then I'll try to play devil's advocate based off of whatever you guys feel about that. My true stance is, because I want to approach this from
Randy's
all angles.
saying he will disagree with us no matter what we say.
Yeah, for sure. Because
I'm going to be so extreme center on this just to watch Randy try to disagree with me.
My brain will implode.
Yeah, I'm going to be an extreme middle ground.
Which is why I'm going to give you my true stance.
Okay, let's hear it.
If there's nothing more to update, then I would push one of those updates out that is just basically saying, here's our updated terms of service, so to say, or whatever they want to call it, just to be in compliance with the App Store, and that's it. No bugs, no patches, like just pushing out this information to be in compliance of Apple's terms of service based off of today. And that would be the update. If you were the developer and you wanted your app there, why not? That to me doesn't seem like a hard thing to really do. Just do that. You're in compliant now. You're compliant with Apple, and you don't need to necessarily mod a code or anything. You just say, the latest one is just to meet terms of service. This is what we track or don't track. Here's what the information is, or what we're not tracking, and what's done is done. Everybody wins. But that's that. So that's my true stance. Because at the end of the day, it's Apple's platform. They're going to do what they want. I get it. This is the Fortnite or Spotify all over again. You're using their ecosystem, so it is Apple's call.
Because they have a monopoly on their app store.
Because they have a monopoly on their stuff.
That's right.
So anyway, that's my true stance. But I would love to hear what you guys actually think, and then let's see if we can dissect this.
Okay. Do you want to go first, Nick?
As someone who uses computers that doesn't care about his privacy at all, case in point, I am still using a version of macOS that definitely has security flaws because I want that sweet universal control feature. Yep. And yes, I know universal control is out of beta for everyone now, but I still haven't gotten around to updating either of my computers because one of them's literally always uploading. So I don't care about my privacy. But whenever I do see that ask not to trap thing, I always say, please don't track me because, that's nice. But yeah, I don't know if my opinion should matter.
It's not for your own sake. It's just kind of a middle finger to the third parties.
Yeah.
Oh, so you care about your privacy? Like no, I just don't like you.
It's just a personal thing. Don't worry about it.
I view my private info kind of like my trash. It's not like... It's kind of like I'm not going to just sit by and say, yeah, go look through my trash. If I look outside and someone's sorting through my garbage, I'm going to be like, hey, what are you doing? Get out of there. Yeah. What, do you need this? No, but I don't want you going through it.
That's a good way to look at it.
So you're saying Apple should... Nick, are you saying Apple shouldn't take the apps off the store if they haven't been updated for a long time?
Apple should continue to allow whoever to do whatever because I don't care, and if they would like to, I guess they could, but I don't care enough to care. How about that? This whole ask not to
Got it.
track thing,
Understood.
like I find it so funny because it's like, okay, yeah, Apple's gonna tell the app developer, you have to have an option to not have all the cookies or whatever, but they're still tracking you. I mean, it's not like it's actually doing. I mean, it's like putting a thimble on a forest fire. It's like, okay, yeah, that helps a little bit, but like, seriously,
Nick, did you ever watch the
no.
movie Man of Steel? Did you, Drew?
Randy, you walked right into that. You knew what you were getting into, asking Nick
Yeah,
if he's
come
seen
on,
any
dude.
film from that isn't Star Wars.
I know, but I was
Okay.
gonna I was gonna take a chance. Did you see it, Drew?
Yes, a million times.
Okay. So, Superman is in handcuffs,
Okay.
Yeah.
and
What kind of
when they bring
handcuffs?
him in
That's
for
all you
questioning-
needed to know.
That's
all.
all. That's all that's relevant.
Okay,
He's in
regular-
handcuffs.
not the
Normal,
pink fluffy
regular
ones. Got
handcuffs.
it.
No kryptonite was in the whole movie.
They handcuff him because they want to bring him in for questioning because they don't
that's
like
not
this
true.
alien thing.
There was some kryptonite at some point. So I was gonna say there was some crypto at some
All
point.
of the crypto.
Oh God!
His weakness is NFTs.
That's a skit.
His coming in for questioning. He let them handcuff him, and Lois Lane goes, "Why did you do that?" And he goes, "That makes him feel better."
Yep.
But no, he
Yeah.
just
That
Go
is
like
Apple.
Yeah,
that.
it's pretty much Apple right now with the ask not to track.
yeah. That's
It did directly result in a huge tank in revenue, though. Facebook reported
Yeah, okay,
that, or
but you don't
Meta
think they're
reported
going to be
that,
finding a
so-
different way to
But that
track
made me
people?
happy.
Like Kyle
Yes.
Hello.
Oh, I'm sure they're tracking people. I have no doubt about that. But they did directly. They are mad about it, and it's making it harder, and they're making less money because of it. So I'm all in favor of it, just for that alone. Just because I don't like Meta. I don't really like that company or how the company tries to make money. It's like,
I don't
Yeah,
like
you should-
Zuckerberg. I know you're not supposed to not like an individual, but I don't like him. Maybe
Your job
maybe
should
I
be
feel
harder.
about Zuckerberg the way people feel about Elon or something. I guess because
Yes.
I do not care for that guy.
the way I see a lot of people blindly hating or assuming things Elon has said or done.
Yeah.
I've interacted with so many people that are like, but didn't he say this? And I was like, when did he say that? And they're like, I don't
Yeah.
know. But I think he said that. And I was like, I've literally never heard that. Can you
Yeah.
prove it? And they're like, no, I can't. I feel like that about Zuckerberg. I have a blind, unmotivated hatred towards him. I don't know why. I just don't.
He's a lizard, you know. He just. I almost called him a pig, but I was like, no, I'm not going to insult pigs.
Ooh.
Just the
He's a
things he
lizard.
goes after don't feel as important, or I don't think he's making the world as much
I
better.
try to
as Elon
see
is,
it from
but-
his point of view from Lex's podcast, and it made me hate him more.
Oh yeah, I did watch that.
I
He
was like, I don't like you. You're
he has
you're,
very I don't know.
you're so
like,
detached from reality. That's why you want another
yeah.
one because you have no concept of what the
But
world
he knows
is
about
like.
that sweet, sweet
Lex
baby
is such a
rays.
great interviewer.
He is.
Baby Rays.
Yeah,
He has such a-
is so good at being. You know, I'm going to give you not benefit of doubt, but I'm going to let you talk and hear you out.
He
and
kept
try to-
trying to set him up to become more human. He kept giving him
Yeah.
human responses, and the entire interview he kept giving back analytical robot
burp,
sounding
burp.
responses. And you know, yeah, hour and a half. Very difficult to listen to, but
Yeah.
yeah, he kept saying like, "How does it feel to be the most hated person in the world?" And he was like, "Well, if you look at data comparing differences and where that was sourced from," we were like, "He's just trying to make you sound like a normal human
Analytically
being."
speaking, Hitler was hated more.
Yeah,
What
that's
a
something he would say.
measurement to amount to there, sir. So, yeah.
Exactly. To answer your question, to tie this back down, since we don't have transitions, thanks to Final
yo.
Cut, I personally was like, I understand why Apple wants to take the apps off after, I think it was 2 years, is what they said, 2 years without updates, because there are frameworks, and even on games, there are engines that can change over time that, if left unchecked and if left the same for extended periods, the apps won't continue to work on newer versions of iOS as those internal backends get upgraded and changed. So it's like there's a game that can work fine on iOS 13, and you're like, okay, it's done. I don't need to add anything. There's no bugs or whatever. But then iOS 14 comes out, and then iOS 15 comes out. Several back-end changes to the graphics engines have now changed, and now the app crashes, which isn't necessarily the developer's fault. But on one hand, I do side with Apple, and I agree. It's like it's their platform; they can do whatever they want, of course, because they built it. And if they deem that apps unupdated for 2 years is a bad thing, I think the other argument was the more privacy labels in the App Store.
Yeah.
That was a new requirement of like, if you want your app to remain downloadable, it needs to list all of the things it accesses right there on the page or right there in the download. And I believe that a lot of the apps getting taken down did not provide those. So they were like, well, this is a new policy. You haven't updated the app to show those things, so it no longer qualifies. I get the frustration, but at the same time, I was like, okay, Drew, try to think of it from their perspective, because I'm not an app developer. I don't write code. I don't write software. So the closest thing I could compare it to is YouTube taking down your channel if you haven't uploaded a video in 2 years. Then I was like, yeah, that would probably annoy me too, because I'd be like, well, there's a lot of videos on there that people probably still want to watch or check out, and it's not like there's anything wrong with just keeping those videos there for those who want to watch it. But the more I describe that, I'm like, at the same time, YouTube provides free hosting. You know, like they're doing all this for free to keep content on the site, and we get to upload 4K, 8K videos, and they'll hold them there basically forever. So if they want to make things easier on the back end for their cloud space, I can kind of get why they would do that. It would annoy me because I probably have some old channels that I don't upload too frequently, but I just like keeping stuff there for nostalgia's sake. So I get the app developers' frustration, but I still think the decision makes sense on Apple's part. And I don't know how hard it is to just provide a simple update for graphics or for privacy labels. I don't know how much extra work that requires, but it's a fair request in my view on Apple. But regardless, it's frustrating.
You kind of hit my counters that I was going to give you, so you did well negating me on that.
There's my
But
extreme
here's my
centralist.
not pushback, but I want to add on to something that you had said to try to look at from the developer's point of view. To kind of just caveat on that, give a good comparison between YouTube and the App Store in that sense, but you also
That's
say
something
that
I
YouTube
can
is free.
relate it to. Yeah,
YouTube is free, and for
That's
that
true.
reason, I think that if they wanted to make if YouTube wanted to do that, we would have less of a leg to stand on. For these developers, they pay to have their developer account. They pay to put the apps on there. Like, it does
That's
cost
true.
money, and they
Right.
they contribute to the infrastructure. So for the developer to then say, "I gave you my money and you're going to take it away," is not. I think I don't see this fair, because I'm not updating the game anymore, but it's
Yeah, it's like
it's part of my
passive income
portfolio. You
versus
can
active
see
income.
more from this developer. I want you to see my
True.
evolution and things.
For
This is
sure.
my resume. This is my body of work that gets me employed. And I know people who have done app development that do need those apps there as their resume, because it's their way of authenticating what they're saying is true, to validate something. They're like, I've worked on this. Here's my portfolio. Or here's my developer page, and here are those apps. But if Apple removes them, it looks better coming from the App Store than the Google Play Store. Like I have it on the App Store. I met their strict requirements, and they cleared me, and now they're taking me off because I don't have any more updates. That's frustrating. I just would like to then be fair about it, or realistic about saying that, then just update your app then to say, updating here just to show you what we're tracking and not tracking to meet Apple's compliance of terms of service as a developer.
Right.
Here's their stuff.
Yeah, I don't
And
know
then-
like how simple that is. Can you just go in the app and say this is version 10.1 now and
Right.
change nothing but the number and update it?
Right.
And now Apple says, okay, you're good. Like, I don't know how complicated it is. If it takes 10 minutes, then I don't think it's that big a deal. If it has to be like a fundamental rewrite from the ground up, and it takes hours.
Maybe they have to pay something
resubmit it.
extra. Then also I'm trying to think of other fees that we're not even thinking about. Maybe does it cost money at this point to go back to something that's that old just to be compliant of iOS 15 or whatever, and all that stuff to me, because they already moved away from the 32-bit architecture, like that where we moved away from that. So it's how much more then on the foundation side are we trying to be up to date? If it's just strictly policy, we have to be transparent, and it's all about transparency. Then does a person or a team have to pay for that? I don't know. So that's the part where
I wonder if it was a one-size-fits-all solution for Apple, because I've definitely still seen some apps floating around on the store that haven't even been optimized for iPhone 10, and they still have the black bars on the top and bottom, and it's like, why is this still here? And maybe Apple was sick of all of those unoptimized apps kind of cluttering up their servers and cluttering the App Store with outdated apps that crash and stuff. So they just figured, okay, let's put a time limit to kind of motivate developers. Which honestly, even if it does take a few hours to update, it's like once every 2 years.
Right. Yeah.
Even then, it's not terribly time consuming. I mean, it's a bit annoying, and I hope Apple gave them a warning first. I hope Apple gave them like a heads up, like here's a month or here's a couple months to fix it. But once every 2 years, at least to me, does not sound like a lot of. I don't think they're asking for very much. And there was probably a bunch of apps that definitely weren't working and shouldn't be on the App Store that were still sitting around until Apple threw this policy out. And now it's like, oh, okay, well, that cleaned up a lot. Now everything's supported. Now everything's relevant and on the latest version and what have you. So maybe it was too high a bar, and that frustrated a bunch of people, because there's a ton of apps and there's a ton of developers, which means that even if it frustrated 1%, it's going to be a big, loud concern. But I just don't want to take away from the value of the App Store. And I think a lot of people do that these days. It's like, well, they don't need 30%. Or what is Apple adding to this? It's like they've built a very successful empire of apps through that platform. And they've created a very comfortable space for people to spend money, which supports the developers and apps that run reliably and that are well optimized, and that's one of the strongest reasons people stay on iOS. So I don't think it gets appreciated enough. I think most people these days just point and say, they don't deserve any money for that. That should just exist.
Yeah. No, I hear you. From an artistic point, I sympathize for anybody who put their art out there, whether it's an editor or whatever, and just to be like, you're making me have to do something that if Apple said I needed to update my codecs to meet a new lossless file for Apple Music, I would be peeved. I would be so upset.
Oh yeah. It's hard to find something to compare to, because we don't really update music or videos or that kind of thing.
It would go under the label of a remaster at that point, but then they still have the original file. So music from the 80s and the 70s were just made differently back then, and then they have remasters that came out. Yeah. And they have digital masters that would go to meet the.
That's why I didn't use video as an example. It's not like you need to update a video every 2 years, because no, it's a video, it's done. It's like, how about a channel? Maybe I could relate more to that, but still,
for me, with
the
music thing and having to update the codecs to be a different format for lossless is something I can relate to. That if there's nothing wrong with my song as is, but they're moving away from WAV, so a WAV file, or an AIFF, if they're moving away from some type, and we're implementing this new, like how they have the high efficiency one for photos, right? And like that's Apple's thing. Now we're implementing that for music or for audio, and I need you guys to do that to be on Apple Music or Apple Podcasts. Or that would kind of frustrate me. I'm like, oh my god, is this going to corrupt my file? Like I would have a red flag that goes up, and in that sense, that would be frustrating. Even if it's an old format, they would say that, like, yeah, well, the old format just doesn't work anymore. But it's not a fair one-for-one comparison, because
no, it's kind of difficult.
An app is always there's no multiple versions of the same app, so to say. Like there's only one Wells Fargo app for you to get onto your bank. You know what I mean? Like you don't have, you might have it for iPad, Apple Watch, and iPhone, but they're all the same app, just optimized for a set thing. Whereas like where I can't make a one-for-one comparison, music will be a journal entry in time, and then you might have a remaster and a new codec one, and then they all just kind of port over, but then the original one is still, preserved in some format elsewhere. So that's where it's like it's a little bit different. I will acknowledge that I don't know what I don't know about that part of app development.
Steve kind of compared it to, I think, our kind of work with videos, or maybe more. I say more so with music, less so with videos. Is kind of our art or our work is like a picture or painting hanging in a museum, and it you hang it up and then it's there for a long time. For a while it's relevant, and then later it's not, or maybe if it's really memorable, it'll be relevant for a long time. Whereas app development is, and all that time that goes into each update is more like layers of sediment and rock. It's like each one comes out and completely covers the old one. The old version of Final Cut we're never going to see again. We're just going to cover the current version with a new layer. And it's not like... it's a really cool interview he did a while. I remember watching it, and that analogy made a lot of sense to me. He was like, our line of work is not like, painting or a picture in the hall. It's layers of rock. So it's like we come out with the best technology, and then a year later completely obsolete that with something new, and a year later obsolete that with something new.
Was that in context of him talking about Pixar or something, where in the sense that
I don't know if it was Pixar. I think it was just talking about software development and hardware.
Because I remember saying like the industries are so different. Because someone asked him, he's like, how would you compare working at Apple working with Pixar? Like Pixar art, man. He's like, it's done. It doesn't have a shelf life. It's there. He's like,
that's true.
When it comes to Apple, we are constantly trying to not
stuff is dated so fast.
Yeah, he's like the shelf life, this life cycle is so quick, and you have to be on top of it. With art and film, you could take your time getting it right, and that's why we do that with Pixar. But Apple, it's fast tempo because you have to keep up with evolving technology.
Yeah,
said,
that's
true,
what I admired about him. Is he was not very nostalgic. Some people are like, oh, let's get a throwback item, or let's bring back this design. That Steve was always like, let's get to the next best thing, and it's like, but that looks nothing like the old one, and he's like, good, let's get rid of the old one. He was always about here's the futurist. So that's why I tended to align with that myself. Is like, I don't care if people had nostalgia. I remember iPods. I remember using them fondly, but I don't think the iPod Touch should still exist. I'm like, that's the past. Leave it. Let it die.
Sheep.
It's like I had those memories, and you know what? The memories are still there. I can still think back.
And I'm over here
fondly.
fighting for my life to hold on to the 12 mini.
Are you still holding on?
You can hold on to it.
Are you still holding on?
It's there, but I have to let it go.
To the world.
I knew where you're going with that. You silly boy.
It would kind of be like, imagine if you lost ownership rights to... I actually would be in favor of this. I think they should do this. What if you lost ownership rights to a Twitter username after 2 years of no tweeting?
I love this idea. Yes.
Please.
This would free up so many accounts. There's so many dead Twitter accounts from 2008, 2009 that aren't doing anything, that haven't tweeted in 10, 11 years, that I've been like, I would like that. Please, can I get that one?
I can't for the life of me not get my handle on Instagram to just be with continuity against everything else, because this one guy, this one Randy Vasquez is not... I'm convinced he's dead, and I've reached out to Instagram so many times. He's inactive. This is my business. Here's my EDI... Not my EDI, my TIN. My TIN number. I'm a business. I'm a registered business. Please... And they're just like...
And if not even tweet or post, just have an option in settings that says, like, yes, I would like to keep my account. Like a little button or something. If someone logs out of an account and doesn't use it for 2 years, I don't think they care about it very much.
Dude, Instagram took before they were bought by Facebook, Instagram took my old handle without my permission.
Really?
In 2010... I had everything. And it wasn't a lot, but when I played video games, my handle and everything was always King _ V because I was playing these medieval games and I was like, oh, this is my empire. Well, then I'm King V. And then when I got into Clash of Clans, everything was King V. And so I just like, my Instagram, King V. Someone else wanted it and Instagram just gave it to them because I had not posted in, 6 months or something. Wow. And they just took it and they gave me, I never picked Randy _
6
Vasquez.
Months? That's not very long.
It was so weird. Someone just requested to take that and they took it. I was like, I went to go look like, is this a company? Is this a verified check? No. Someone just took it. And they gave me first _ last. I didn't ask for that. And I've never changed it since because I was like, screw you, Instagram. All right, fine. I'm not touching it. What's the point?
It was probably Mark Zuckerberg who took your handle there.
It was.
It's his alt account.
Well, if it's King V, V would be King Vuckelberg.
That's who got it. Name confirmed.
Yep.
But
I like that idea though, Drew. That's good.
Hopefully, Twitter will get those features now that they're under new management.
Since you listen to our shows, Elon.
I gotta be honest. I did not think that deal would go through.
You didn't?
Really? Honestly,
wow.
No. I knew he would make a offer, but I thought that the Twitter board was no. They're so anti
board didn't have much
There's
of a
no
choice
way
there.
they would accept. Did you listen to the leaked audio?
No, I haven't heard any of that.
I heard a little bit of it, but I think it says a lot that someone was willing to record it because it means that they either don't agree with the people around them, but wanted to document the process anyway. But yeah, I just know that they didn't. I guess like you said, they didn't have much of a choice, but it was
either
quite surprising.
They're going to get sued by their shareholders for not performing fiduciary duties, or they sell to Elon. Those were the two options.
Well, Elon at his TED Talk. This is why I was like, I don't know. Like this is where it got murky for me. When he's like, "Is there contingency plans?" He goes, "Yeah." I don't want to say anything, but yeah. I'm like, that was too. Where have I seen this before? I'm thinking, is FSD ready? Oh yeah. So then I'm thinking, if Elon's actually quiet before he answers, maybe he's telling the truth because he responds pretty quick with FSD. He's like, "Is FSD ready?" Perfectly aged tweet. Yes, I'm convinced he'll be out there. Like he says it so. But when he paused and he's just, yeah, and that was it. I'm thinking, okay,
he knows
there is something.
Oh yeah.
The only thing he said out loud was like, well, if they don't accept my offer, they're not being best interest of their shareholders, and these guys own less than 1%. So who are they?
That was also concerning to me. Why did the Twitter board have such low ownership?
Every single
they
corporate
don't have best
board
interest.
is the exact same
I
way.
have Twitter's best interest.
Sorry. What did
Every
Nick say?
single corporate board is the exact same way. No one who runs these companies owns these companies. That's just the way it works.
Steve had a driving amount of Disney.
No
when he was
one
on their board.
Most people.
Okay.
Steve
I
is
feel
not
like-
most people.
I think Al Gore basically controls Apple. I think. I don't know.
Probably. That's why there's so many services. Dang it. Oh. But yeah, I'm kind of mostly excited just because most of the changes he suggested I'm in favor of. So I hope it works out.
I hope we can finally have something in the Taylosoph network verified.
That would be great. Update to the verification process. That's been broken for basically as long as there's been one. You know.
I'm not even pushing for like podcasts or individual. I just want something on Taylosoph. It needs to be. There's no way something as influential as YouTube will verify you okay, and then something akin to that is like, well, you don't write articles, so like, no. What are
That's how
these
Twitter
verbal
works.
videos But article, anyways, these are insights. Why do political pundits who are just giving opinion, why do they get to be verified but not tech of the same thing? Like, why
Right.
does it always have to be politics? Why can't it be tech? Why can't it be, or not even like technology as a whole? Why not?
Especially
People who
with
are
the
about-
number of bots and how rampant they
yes,
are. There's some
dude.
Sawyer Merritt has this problem constantly. Dirty Tesla was
bad for
having
him.
these issues where they just get these duplicate accounts that try to resemble the OG account, and they're not. It's not just like million subscriber channels. This is happening to like channels with a few dozen thousand subscribers,
Yeah.
and they have people trying to scam them on Twitter all the time. So I'm like, yeah, shouldn't matter if they can just verify, like, yes, this account is from this channel, and they make sure that there's not other duplicates of it first. I don't know why this process has to be so complicated. It's very straightforward on YouTube.
I should be able to submit. I wouldn't. The Spotify and Apple, but more Spotify, like indicates the verification of the artist.
Mm-hmm.
I am the author of these bodies of work, and if I gave that to anybody, like I am this.
Yeah.
I think it would alleviate a lot more issues because I have some work that's not instrumental stuff. I can't post because it will get copyrighted because I'm not validated that I am that person. So
Right.
I'm not even necessarily looking for like a check mark, but a way to say that I am the same person. Like if I paid to have my thing copyright, like that's mine, that's my work. Like don't quit giving
The
me
easiest way to do it, in my view, would be to look at another reputable site's reference links.
There you go.
If you can prove that a verified or at least a substantially large YouTube channel links to that specific Twitter account, that should be enough. That should be all it takes, because it's like, okay, we have proof from the source. That's the Twitter account associated with that brand. Check.
So I don't think there's not a page that doesn't have an about me. You know, like hey, boom,
Yeah,
follow my
they
socials.
all link their
Like, there
Twitter.
you go.
Yeah. It should
If
be
it all
very
links to
simple.
the same link tree or something, like however you got to do it. Like if there is, hey, I'm sending you here, and this one's saying, hey, I'm sending you here, and there's no disagreement there. That's how I used to treat
Done.
the following. Like whatever I'm following is me showing you that's the thing that's part of
Right.
me. That's
Right.
my thing.
I,
Yeah.
I don't know why this is so complicated. And that they're like only doing it with journalists or something, but yeah,
It's
quite
really
silly.
it's really funny because I still can't get verified on Twitter, and it's like not that I really care all that much. It doesn't change my life at all, honestly. But it is funny that in my company, a few writers who have like 400 or 500 followers are verified, but I'm not. And I see
Yeah.
all these articles written about pictures that I post and news that I break and referenced all in articles. And whenever I submit to Twitter, I have like a document of like, I don't know, probably 80 or 100 articles that I mentioned in. My Twitter account is like linked in line with the article.
right.
Yeah.
I've submitted that entire list to Twitter a couple times and never received verification. And it's like, well, that's not right, because like the people who are not here on site, like what is verification supposed to mean at the end of the day? What it was originally supposed to mean, now it's basically just an approval mark from Twitter. But what it used to mean,
It's like an elite club thing. Now it's
now
turned
it's
into
this
this
dumb elite club, which is why I don't care about it all that much. Like I'm not
Yeah.
losing any sleep over this, and I'm honestly kind of looking forward to when Elon brings on every single person who pays $3 a month for verification. Like that's going to be funny to watch all these elite verification clubs lose it, because they'll be like, oh, now all the plebs are with us. But yeah, so it's like kind of just funny to say, like,
Well, I have an NFT profile pic, so suck it.
right. Yeah. yeah.
I have an octagonal profile pic that I photoshopped, so
Yeah.
now I also look like I have the NFT one. But the original purpose of verification was to allow people to quickly and easily know that the person that they're tagging or replying to is the person that they say they are,
Yeah.
right?
should be even easier for you because your Twitter is your name.
Exactly, right? Yeah, and it is my name, and I've submitted my driver's license and even passport pictures
Oh yeah,
and
you had
stuff.
government ID, I'm sure.
Yeah, no, it's like it was like this whole process, but they didn't verify me, and that's fine. I don't care, and I'm not complaining about it at all because I think the whole thing's stupid. But it is really stupid because people who like the purpose of verification is to allow people to easily know that who they're talking to or about is the person, the actual person, not an alt account or something. And I am out here doing things that lots of verified people write about, right? Like all these authors who are writing all these articles are all verified.
Or retweet.
Or retweets.
Or
I mean,
reply
heck,
to.
like Elon interacts with me on a very regular basis. Like it's like I'm doing things.
Not everyone has Walter Isaacson following them.
Exactly.
Right.
It's like I do these things that
I mean-
people appreciate, and these people are noteworthy people. And
Yeah.
for me, it's like, okay, I don't really care either way, but wouldn't it make more sense to verify the person who took the picture or that broke the news that the article is about over the person who wrote the article? Because at the end of the day, most of these authors, are just people on the internet, and I'm just a person on the internet too. So, I mean, but none of us are like Kim Kardashian or Elon Musk, right? Like, it's not like these people.
You're not influencers.
Yeah,
You're
we're not
you're
none of us are influencers. We're just doing stuff.
headliners.
Exactly.
Nick Answini said this today.
And
You're-
maybe some
you're
guy
the
from the
person who
Wall
would
Street
write
Journal
that, not the
is
person-
actually a
Yeah.
journalist, official journalist. But that comes with syndication, right? So like that's the whole like real.
Just means you're capable of writing something and posting it on the internet.
Exactly.
Which
That's
is
all
very
that means, but it's the
easy
brand
now.
behind it, right? And so there's two ways you can apply for journalistic verification. One is through bylines, and the other one is just through media outlet affiliation. And I've tried both, and neither of them work. So the syndication, I sent in like the 80 or 100 links to articles that mention me, because you can do a reverse Google search really easily. And I
Yep.
pulled like every article. There's a bunch of foreign
I did it
articles
too.
that
I did both.
that are like
both for Talos of Tech.
yeah, and it's like there's tons of articles in tons of different languages all over the world that use my pictures and my news as basis to write an article. And in my mind, when the article's sole purpose is talking about the thing I tweeted, it's like,
Right.
okay, so who really broke that news here? Like, I get you took time to write,
Right.
1,000 words about my tweet, and I appreciate that.
But it wasn't on Reddit, Nick, so it doesn't count.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And again, this whole thing is stupid. Don't take any of this that I'm saying as me whining about not being verified. I hate it when people whine about not being verified. I could give two rats' butts about
I could
it.
think of a few people.
Because I honestly cannot wait for Elon to unleash the floodgates of Twitter verification.
It shouldn't be a special thing.
Exactly.
And that's
And
the
just-
problem.
Are
It
you
is a special
verified? That
thing.
means you're a human. Like we need to
Right.
It means
degrade
you're
it
not
to
a
that.
bot. It means you're not.
Exactly.
It's not an account that was set up 3 minutes ago
Yep.
just to.
You're
mass
linked
spam
to your ID,
something.
and at the end of the day, that's
It should
all
be
verification
even
was
more-
supposed to do, right? Verification was just
Yeah.
supposed to, as the person you're tagging or replying to, the person in real life. That's all verification was originally supposed to do. But because it was a very manual process back then, they only let so many people into it, and it was this very exclusive. And they turned it into like this, Bored Apes Club, yacht club style of like the who's who of Twitter.
Are
all
you
verified.
Yeah.
And
Who can't
you
talk to
know?
you? Don't DM me if you don't have a
exactly.
a
Don't,
check
if you
mark.
don't have
Like,
a check
get
mark, you
off
can't
your
DM me. It's like
elitist-
that's so dumb.
Or like my wife was freaking out one day because she was like, someone verified on Twitter replied to me. And I was like, that should not be a thing. This should not be a
I
status
know.
of like, oh my God, he's verified.
Because you will
It's
get
like-
pinged regardless if it's a verified account hitting you up. It'll ping you just to let you know because it's more important.
Well, I have
That's so
notifications
stupid.
off
It's so
completely.
stupid.
But
So-
yeah, it's like
Go ahead, Drew.
a ton of people verified following me. I feel like that should check a box on their
Totally,
end or
right?
something. It's like, okay, well, if a bunch of verified people also want to see what this account tweets and they're verified on other platforms, like I think it should be, maybe it's a little bit harder for me because I'm trying to do like a brand account where it's called Talos of Tech. So
Yeah.
there's no government ID to verify that. But again, the link tree should make that painfully easy. Okay, this verified YouTube channel is linking this Twitter account. Let's verify it. But for Nick, it should be painfully easy because he has a government ID proving, yes, I am who I say I am. So I'm realizing after this talk that there was more issues with Twitter than I realized, and I'm hoping they can address as many as possible. The edit
I
button
think
is a big one for me too.
The best part to show there was something wrong with this platform was Elon being one of the most liked tweets, and it had nothing to do with the other most liked tweets.
There's all these really memorable, iconic
inspirational quotes,
tweets that were the most
like
liked of
New
all
Day in
time.
America.
And now there's a top one
4
that's
more years.
I'm gonna put the cocaine back in the Coca-Cola.
And now it's a genuine meme. It's like, next I'm going to ...
He's gonna fix McDonald's and get all the ice
The
cream
next
machines
day,
working.
next day he tagged Coca-Cola and said, "Oh hi, by the way." And then I was like, "Oh no, is he serious? Like, wait, is he joking? I can't tell." Oh boy.
Doesn't matter
Listen,
if he's joking
if this...
or not.
That's awesome.
Yeah, I think I don't know if anyone directly asked me my thoughts on this. I'm just going to answer the question that
Go ahead.
I'm thinking up in my head. I'm quite optimistic about what is ahead for Twitter. I know lots of people are worried about the concerns that everyone's worried about, but I've seen how this guy operates all of his different companies, and whatever he touches seems to work out. So I'm not worried.
He has a
about
good
Yeah.
track record of turning things into highly desirable and hard to compete with.
Yep.
Like Tesla's dominance in the EV market is insane, but what's even more insane is how much SpaceX dominates the payload to orbit market.
Mm-hmm.
It's even higher, and I think he could do similar things with Twitter. I mean, the dude kickstarted his career with PayPal. We're still using that to this day. I mean, he's not a part of it anymore, but
Zip.com
we're still
before that. Like,
You mean
that was
X?
the original Google Maps. Like Zip.com was the original Google
Yep.
Maps. Like
He
Yeah,
is the perfect blend. He would have been that, what do they call it? He's the perfect Bill Gates, Steve Jobs combo of actually implementing huge change like a Windows operating system, but being as
you make people
captivating.
need you.
Yeah, like he
That's
has
what Bill was
he has
about.
the best strengths of Steve Jobs and Bill Gates in that comparison.
Kinda.
What
Yeah.
he's more refined. He's not perfect. I mean, he's obviously
Not in his
controversial,
speaking, but yeah.
yeah, no, but okay. So he's in well, how hard would it be when you're trying to, when your native language is Martian, you got to translate to I would
Right.
stutter too a little bit.
He's got a funnel that's
Yeah,
trying to process all of his thoughts, and it's too slow. But I think personally it'd be. I mean, he wants to make Twitter DMs end-to-end encrypted, which is cool. Maybe Twitter messaging could become another messaging alternative if they break it off and make it its own app or something. I also think that there's tremendous potential for video on Twitter because right now it's basically a joke.
the world's worst
is
compression.
the worst compression you can possibly imagine. It doesn't listen to your cropping, and the timeline is super limited. If Twitter, I think he could easily transition it into like a YouTube alternative if he wanted to. Like they beefed up the video encoder, and they've already got donation tips on Twitter and stuff. They could beef that into make this account like your hub for pictures, hub for text, hub for videos. I don't know if they want to make it more of a YouTube or more of a TikTok type thing, but either way, I think there's a lot you could do with the video, as we've seen with the success of TikTok and the success of YouTube. Of like, if you create a simple and cohesive monetization program, and you're like, okay, you need this many followers or this much attention, and then you can start running ads on videos. Because I'm all in favor of YouTube having more competition, because I feel like they don't have any. And I've said for a long time that what's funny is people keep telling me, man, we don't have time, do we? People keep telling me YouTube has use this one other website I've heard of, or use this one other website. And what's funny is the website that people say, oh, switch to this, it's better than YouTube. It changes like every other year. There's like a different answer. I've been told the same thing, but the company keeps changing because, of course, it doesn't work out. You can't get enough people on that platform. So I've always said that it can't be a startup, and it's not going to be something from like a little tiny company that competes with YouTube. It has to be one of the big major players that already has a very large present audience, trying to expand and trying to switch into doing more video monetization. So I'm like, as far as companies up there that can compete, I was really hoping Instagram would try with IGTV. I was like, maybe they can do something but I predicted from day one that was going to be a big flop and a mistake, and I don't even think it exists anymore. Didn't they get rid of it? Now it's just
IGTV is.
I think they got rid of
they
the.
changed
I think
the
it's all
branding,
just
but I think it's still kind of there.
Reels.
Like
It's you have Reels.
everything's just through the regular Instagram app.
Yep.
It's not like its own site anymore. So I was like, yeah, the whole push for vertical wasn't going to work, and also it was owned by Meta anyway, so I didn't really want it to do better. But I was like, now I'm hoping they could do something with Twitter that would make it kind of compete with YouTube, because there's definitely a lot of YouTubers on Twitter already. So I think that conversion could go really smoothly if they, beefed up the desktop site, allowed for higher quality codecs, and it would be an investment because you would need a lot more cloud server space and stuff. But I think people spend a lot of time. I think, people spend a lot of time on Twitter, and if you're just scrolling through tweets and stuff, and then suddenly there's MKBHD's latest video, just watch it right there. Why do you got to tap a link?
Yeah.
Go to YouTube.
Tap a link and be brought to an in-app browser that then you have to go to the real browser, which then you still have to tap to go to YouTube to watch.
Exactly.
Then
there's all these steps. Twitter could just update the video encoder and make it so that content creators want to post stuff directly there.
I wanted us to bring back you post the YouTube link and you get a thumbnail that generates right there instead of having to manually do it.
I think you do if the link is at the end of the tweet, right?
No, it doesn't do it at all for YouTube.
I think if you click and open the tweet, it'll show the thumbnail. But if it's just on your timeline, it won't show it.
My Linktree populates fine on the timeline. My Bandcamp populates fine on the timeline. I don't think Apple Music does, but YouTube definitely doesn't. I'm like, geez, I have to put all this time into a thumbnail, just make it coherent. I miss back when YouTube. I'm sorry. I miss back when you would tweet something and the tweet would go outside of Twitter and be published elsewhere, like it was a notification being pushed out, similar to like if you were pinging somebody on Discord or something. What?
Woof.com.
What's that?
It's from The Office. Nick gets it, I'm sure.
Yes. Get your fax machine. Woof.com. Got it.
Get a phone call, text, email, and it hits you up on your Facebook, Twitter. It's like, I find it. It's still a thing, I think.
I thought you had a hiccup that happened, or you were saying whoa.
No.
Whoa. Woof. Woof.com.
Anyway.
Oh, yeah.
We have potential. Twitter has potential, whether that's under Elon or if that's under new management. I don't think Elon's going to sell, to be honest.
Sell
I don't
what?
think he would.
No.
Twitter.
No, he's going to keep it private.
Oh, no. No, he just bought it.
He said on the record he hates running public companies. He hates the fact that Tesla's public.
Oh, yeah.
I think he's going to take it private, and like it or not, he's going to own it for a very, very long time and pass it on to people that he really, really trusts when he dies,
Can we talk about virtue signaling for a second and how much it irks me? I had people on Instagram or Facebook or something say, well, I went ahead and deactivated my Twitter account, never used it but maybe 3 tweets, blah, blah, blah. Like, then why are you talking? Just stop talking. It's not... Who are you trying to impress? Like, well, ever since this went through, I guess you can, like, get...
I'm so proud of you. I was annoyed by that when people were, like, deleting their Facebooks and stuff. I mean, I don't even like Facebook, but I was just like, don't expect me to be impressed that you know how to delete something.
You're so brave.
Go, well done. How brave of you to hit deactivate account, even though they keep it. You can come back and reactivate it anytime.
Oh, Biden won the presidency. Time to move to Canada, or Trump or Obama. Time to move. Like get. Shut
They'll
up.
They'll say that. Yeah.
Stop trying to make it about you.
Yeah, turn it into, well, it's done. I'm gone. And it's like, they're still there.
Well, now time for all the Elon family. Like, go. Stop making it about you. Shut up. It's so annoying.
I agree.
just, I don't know. Like it's that meme of the like, shh, let people enjoy things, you know? Like,
Yeah.
that whole thing. Shh. Well,
You don't
I
have
always
to brag
like using
about what you're not doing. Yeah.
Yeah. Hey guys, guess what? I didn't shoot up heroin today, so there's that. Like, okay, good job, I guess. What
I'm
do you
proud
want from
of
me?
you.
I'm proud of you. It's
Yeah.
weird.
I'm excited.
God.
I think it'll be a good change. I also don't think most people will notice. I think a lot of people freaked out about the buyout. But frankly, if you just use Twitter like you've been using it, I doubt there will be that many changes you actually pick up on.
No, they'll get mad about something next week and forget about this. Something with Johnny Depp or whatever. You know, something's gonna.
I think
happen
it's
and
more likely they're going to pick up on, they'll start introducing really good features that everyone likes, but not want to give credit
Yeah.
about it. They're like, well, that was coming anyway, or, you know, they
Oh, like
could have
the
done
edit
that.
button. Oh my god.
They're going to say, oh, but literally Elon starts tweeting about it, and then the Twitter account's like, by the way, actually, we have been working on the edit button. It's like,
Yeah,
bet
I know.
you have.
By the way, it wasn't a poll.
even though they
Yeah,
were trolling us about it on April Fools in the past, you know, they're like making fun of us for wanting an edit button. It's like, that's kind of rude, in my opinion. They're like,
It is
everyone's
rude.
asking for something, and then you're just like, haha, wouldn't it be funny if
We
we did
want
what you
an
wanted?
edit button. Yeah.
It's like, dude, what's your job? Isn't it to try to make the platform what people want it to be? And
To keep
Stop trying to be like Wendy's.
platform healthy and moderate discussion is what their job was.
yeah,
Stop
they
trying
wanted to
like
be
D-brand or Wendy's or whatever.
referees.
They want to be those people who are hostile towards you for no reason. Because look, we don't care about the norm. Yeah. Okay, Twitter. Okay.
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 Yeah, it'll be interesting. I'm ready. I want all these updates now. I'm already like, okay, when's it happening? Come on, let's roll out
It's interesting to
these
see how
features.
Jack comes out of the woodworks and he talks about the company now that he doesn't feel a certain way about it. He's like, hey, listen, just so you know, here's my stance. And he sides with Elon. So he's not saying he disagrees with the board or his successor as CEO, but he did not. He has his issues that he was all but alluding to. So it's interesting to see him come out, and whether people like him or not, like agree with his philosophy, with whether suspending accounts or what have you. A founder of a company like that, it does hold weight. It's like George Lucas or Steve Jobs, or whether you're relevant in your position now, it holds merit about what you have to say about something that you made. So it's interesting to see what he's been saying this past week.
Yeah, I agree. It's kind of poetic in a way. They have the founders like, yeah, this is the right move. It's
Yeah.
like, well, there you go.
You were going to say something, Nick?
Do you think Elon will be the CEO of Twitter, or do you think he'll find someone else?
I think he's not the CEO of SpaceX, right?
He is the CEO of SpaceX.
Who's
COO is Glendowen Shotwell.
Okay. I think personally he's got enough on his plate. My guess is he's going to find someone that he likes or supports the same values he supports, and he'll appoint them as CEO. I don't think Elon needs to be really at the company very much. I think he basically is
Well, it's
going
a
to...
homeless shelter, so,
Right. Yeah. Like the actual technical stuff and needing to be in person, I'm pretty sure he's going to keep doing what he's been doing, which is make suggestions via tweeting them. And he'll just tell the CEO to implement the things that he tweets. I think that's his idea. I want to open the app, and if I don't like
That's
something...
his transparency with us.
Yeah, there's no discussions going on privately behind the scenes. He's just going to be like, Twitter should add this. Twitter should change this. And the employees will just go, okay, that's what the boss man said. I guess we better add it.
just wake up every morning and check Elon's Twitter feed to see what you're doing that day.
Yeah. I'm not joking. I genuinely think that's what he wants to do.
That makes sense.
Yeah.
Cool.
I feel like he's almost doing that with Tesla already with the whole mobile connector thing.
Yeah.
He like tweeted it out and made the employees have to fix it for him.
Employees go, oh, okay, we're doing this now.
Which is a great transition.
It is. But we have to switch platforms now.
Oh, we do.
So come join us over on EV right now. We're gonna pick up this mobile connector conversation.
Thanks
Ooh,
everyone
what
for tuning
what a
in.
clean segue. I like this.
Yeah, we're definitely not in Final Cut anymore with these transitions. Thank you all for watching. Have an excellent rest of your week. Take care.
Bye, guys.
Bye-bye.